Welcome to the Time Has Come podcast. My name is Graham Wardle, and today I have my old friend Jerin Mece on the podcast. We played football, basketball, and volleyball together back in high school. We've known each other for years, and we've had so many great conversations and insights into life that I can't wait to share with you in this podcast. Jerin is a businessman, he's an entrepreneur, and he helped start Nude Beverages, which is an alcoholic beverage company that donates a portion of their proceeds to the British Columbia SPCA. So far, they've donated over $100,000, which is amazing. So I'm very excited to have Jerin on the podcast today. We talk all things business, life, challenges, growth, and pushing through to the other side into your dreams. So the time has come for us to welcome Jerin Mece to the podcast. Jerin, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Great to be here.
Awesome, dude. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
What's going on in Jerin's life right now? I hear you're engaged.
I'm engaged.
You're engaged, dude. Congratulations.
Proposed, thank you. I proposed to the lady of my dreams in July 2019.
That's awesome.
That was in Iceland.
Dude, you got to tell this story.
This is wild. This is like serendipitous to the max.
Beautiful.
So Jen's been the one that changed everything for me. And I knew I wanted to propose to her since like day one. And so custom ring, and I wanted to propose to her in Iceland because Iceland and Japan are top two. And she just had a crazy year at school with interior design. So I was like, I'd love to take you to Europe. Did a yoga retreat because I loved going to yoga retreats at least once a year. And then we finished off in Iceland where I proposed to her. So I had plans to go do a little tour and go to the cathedral in Reykjavik and meet some friends and go hiking. And what I love about Icelanders is that their idea of a pub is like, let's go for a hike. Let's go to
really?
Yeah, let's go to the hot springs, or let's go to hop in cold and hot water, or, and then have a drink, right?
Oh, cool.
You bring your beers with you. So we went down to this ramen shop because she wasn't feeling well. And we're going to get some, hot ramen. And in the lineup, there was 8 people. Like, there's about 8 seats in this tiny restaurant. And in the lineup, there's a couple people in front of us, and some guy just kind of next to us like, hey, how you guys doing? He's like, great. Where are you guys from? You guys American? We're like, no, we're Canadian. And basically, him and his team were filming this crazy rich Asian couple that hired them to go to, 6 or 7 countries around the world. And then film a video that they would play in this giant 30-foot screen at their wedding day.
Oh, okay.
So they went to this magical waterfall called Skogafoss, and they had the aerial shot, but their client, the female, wasn't feeling so well. She wanted to leave early and fly early, but they also wanted to finish the shoot there and use it for, their blog or their
own promotional stuff. Yeah.
They basically like, hey, would you and your girlfriend be inclined to come in to do this photo shoot for us? Yeah. And I've been to this place before because I love Iceland, and I ended up going there my first time around. And I was like, what? Like, I've got a ring with me I've been carrying for a month across Europe. I'm proposing to her to Iceland, and how did this align? So I'm like burning up inside. I'm so excited. But Jen's not feeling well.
Right.
And then she's like, yeah, we're not. Like, no, like I'm not going to go to a photo shoot with a couple strangers.
When you're not feeling well, yeah.
Yeah, and she's not feeling well as well. And so we kindly said no. Then I ran across the street to the washroom at a hotel, and then I hit the guys up on Instagram because I got their Insta handle on there. And anyway, long story short, he's like, we'd love to shoot you guys because you fit the bill, and this is unreal, and this
works out perfectly.
Yeah, and we're all married, so all the guys were married there. Yeah. There's 3 of them. And
did she know that you were going to propose in Iceland?
She had a feeling, but when we were in Portugal, I basically told her that I needed some time and I wanted to do it my way, talk to her parents in person. And
right.
She had a feeling that something might be going down, but she knew I didn't get a ring, which I did. So she was just like, it's not going to happen. So,
oh, good. So it was a good surprise.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal surprise. Yeah. Anyway, Jen's like, I know Jerin really wants to go. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to go. So we said yes. And then like at 6:30 p.m., we drive for 2 hours from Reykjavik to Skogafoss. Yeah. And then we're shooting for like an hour and a half. And this is massive waterfall. And like, I even called you before.
That's right. You did. Yeah.
I called you. And then Graham's like, listen to your heart.
That was my advice to Jerin.
Tune in to Jen.
I said, dude, if it's in the moment, go for it. But don't get hung up on being attached to it.
Totally. And even like months or 6 months, I'd get like these random anxiety kind of things.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be nervous, but I was. And I talked to a friend of mine actually in Iceland too. And he goes, you're proposing to your best friend. Like, you should be pumped. but nobody kind of talks you through it. Right. Anyway, found a perfect window, and I was just like, it's going to come. Even a while ago, I was thinking life's going to bring you into opportunity. And if you're, open to it.
That's what I love about this story.
Yeah.
Is that life brought you this opportunity and you surrendered. You're like, okay,
take over. And I was like, I don't need to force it. I don't need to force a proposal on the love of my life. And I don't need to rush this. I don't need to have, a camera crew, which happened. Then I got a camera crew for free. And these guys are like the top in Europe at what they do. Anyway, like I don't need to have a family and just us two. Anyway, the perfect opportunity came. She was like looking at the waterfall and the clouds, and she was just taking it in. And you could tell she was just like zoned in with the world. And I gave the guys a sign, which is hang loose. And I was like, I want this to be intimate. There was nobody in the waterfall at the time. It was like 11:50 p.m.
Nice.
They backed off. I tapped. I got on one knee. The rest is history.
That's dope, dude. That's awesome.
Best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love that story because just how you handled it and how like things align. It's like like you said, the stars align, right? It's just so amazing that it all worked out that way. So I love that story. One of the things that you had shared with me a while ago that I think is a really interesting thing that I wanted to talk with you about is you immigrated from Canada, or I should say from Albania to Canada when you were 11 years old.
Yeah.
And you shared with me just a little snippet, but I wanted to know, can you share a little bit about what that was like for you coming from Albania at that time and then coming to Canada?
I was fortunate because we had a large family there, and my parents were, upper middle class, or, my dad was a director of youth sports. He was in ministry. My mom was a university teacher. So we had a great life there, but it was a dictatorship. And when the Communist Party got withdrawn from like the Democratic Party, in like the mid 90s, then it was kind of like an internal conflict, an internal war, and all those things. So it feels like it's two separate lives.
Yeah, I can
You know
imagine.
what I mean? So like my first 10, 11 years were in Albania, and then the last 22 I've been in Canada. Canada feels home, but it's even now I'm getting emotional. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My parents had to give up everything, no money, no clothes. You come to Canada.
So you guys just up and left. Your family just left everything behind.
I didn't get my first $5 bill until like grade 9.
Wow.
I didn't buy anything for myself for years. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was just, it was a great gift. Like I tell people now, like being Canadian is like winning the world lottery.
Yeah. Amen.
It's unreal. You got so many opportunities. You're living in a magical country that's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
You got great education, great healthcare, But yeah, it was challenging. Yeah, especially like the first 10, 15 years, like, I was cleaning buildings in high school, working 2 jobs at McDonald's, and still going to school and playing sports. Still remember some of our buddies, like Ben Dura, would be skateboarding outside of the building they used to clean like 4 times a week. So people would go, kick it with their friends and have fun in the evening. And I'm, picking up garbage and vacuuming for hours to pay for university.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
You were saving for university in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just my parents always kind of drilled it on me, right? Higher education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. You said that you remember like there were like grenades or something on the ground.
Man, it was, it's a beautiful, loving country that's got very hospitable people. But at that time, like all the arms were out. So people with, didn't have much education, or like it's a third world country. Like it wasn't like soccer balls or accessible. People would be using grenades with their pins in there. They're still safe and be juggling and hacky sacking those. And it's not like it was uncommon people to get their limbs blown up.
Because they were playing with grenades.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember I used to collect bullet shells.
Like the casings?
Yeah.
Or like, wow.
They'd be all over. Every night people would be firing them in the sky.
This is, because I grew up in Canada. So this is my home, but I don't have that contrast. So that's why I found it so fascinating to talk to you, because you had 11 years there. Then you come to Canada, and it's completely different. Like you said, it's like 2 different lives.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that first 11 years, that had to have had an impact, shaped who you are today, even though it's 2 different lives.
Totally. Yeah. It was a critical time. Yeah.
Have you thought about that? Can you pinpoint things about your childhood that have made you to who you are today? Like,
yeah, like work ethic was instilled early.
Yeah.
I had to get straight A's in class in elementary school. My aunt was a teacher. My parents were teachers, both at some point. So work ethic for sure.
Is that where you feel like some of your entrepreneurial businessman motivations or inspirations came from? Is that,
there's always opportunity. Like I see it as if there's a need, there's an opportunity there. Right. where there's value to be brought, there's opportunity. But I remember when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and because both my parents were national athletes, and then I had probably a garbage bag full of like anything that was Western or Italian or European was just like super high value. Even watching Italian TV was like modern and cool, and you're
Really?
yeah, because you were limited to what you watched. Anyway, so I had an aunt come back from having her son in Germany, and she had a bunch of like dresses and lipsticks and things like that. I loved math, and she's like, if you sell these, you get to keep what you sell, or whatever it was. So I went door to door for like 8-10 hours, and I hustled and sold everything. I loved it because I love people, right? I love connecting with people. I love talking to people. I love making their day. So I made more money in a day than my parents both made that month.
Wow, dude.
Because it was just like an opportunity to make a sale or trade or barter or whatever it was. So I think that started, but I don't know. There's always opportunities to make things better. I think we share that. We see that.
Well, that sounds to me like I'm talking in movie speak here, the inciting incident or the spark of your salesman, you know, because that's a super skill of yours. Like you sold my parents Cutco knives.
I sure did.
They couldn't resist. You're such a good salesman.
Well, remember in football, like, you know, didn't have so much money growing up. We had to go sell the subway cars door to door.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I raised, I don't know.
Did you rock it?
Yeah, I think
you did like so good.
I did like $700 to pay for our trips and our equipment and all that stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Even for basketball, we did chocolates and poinsettias.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well, you might have paid for it, but
but you sold them.
I had to raise my way through them.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It was cool. Like,
yeah.
And you get faced with rejection right away.
Well, that's the beauty of going through that process is you like build up that skin and that determination. I'm assuming. I haven't done a lot of door-to-door sales. I worked at Panago Pizza taking phone calls.
Yeah, I did that too.
Did you do that?
Yeah, Metro Town.
Did do that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was awesome. 50% off discount at Panago.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I'm going to share with you guys a story. Jerin and I were out for a walk. When was this? Maybe 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
No, this has got to be.
It was a while ago.
Like 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
8, 9, 10.
So we're out for a walk and we're talking about life, and like we often do, we have these deep conversations, and I can't remember how we got on the topic, but it kind of came to this point where it was like, the direction that you should go is where you can give and grow the most.
Yeah.
Because the growing means you're outside your comfort zone, you're pushing yourself, you're growing. And then giving is like, that's your contribution. That's the place where you can, give the most value.
Totally.
And that's where came from a conversation we had.
And we're also like, I think in our early 20s, and we're thinking about what to do, what excites us, but it's like, where can I help and contribute and give the most? Or it's like, is a $40K a year job going to enable me to give to my future family or whatever that is, Yeah, we're just thinking. And then we kept on going deeper and deeper because it's like, we're at a good spot, but we're trying to narrow it down. And then we're going to do things where we can give and grow the most.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool, man. I look back to that often, that conversation. You're also big into yoga. Did you say that you have your teacher training?
I did my teacher training last year, I think. Last year, 2 years ago.
So I know you also meditate.
2 years ago, 2018. Yep.
Yeah. So how do you feel your yoga and meditation, how do you feel that comes into your business?
You know what? When I was doing my yoga teacher training, January, I think, till March 2018, that was probably the most critical point of our company, from going from like a small startup to actually scaling and growing. And I don't think I would have done the decisions, we made if it wasn't for yoga and meditation, because that gave me a lot of clarity. You're doing a deep dive inwards. There's one point in module 3 where it's like, I just got to do this. I got to give my all to my business. So I'm in 10 hours of yoga, like 4 days a week, and I'm in the washroom making calls.
Oh, really?
And business
during the teacher training,
and going out in certain breaks and just like working late at night or whatever it was. But yeah, no, it's I say the commitment to being the best version of myself, working on being the man worthy of my fiance, my dream girl, and yoga and meditation.
That's one of the things that I think about a lot in the mornings when I do my meditation. In that peaceful, centered place, gratitude, connection, all your decisions, the behaviors that throughout the day come from that place.
You mentioned something that I feel often is like when I do meditate, things are in a flow. I don't let things get to me. You're almost kind of like ducking things, just letting them flow.
Yeah, they
their
don't
own
stick
way.
to you.
They don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if I don't meditate for those, if it's a stinge of a couple days or whatever it may be, then it's like I'm on edge. Something's off.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the same, right?
Yeah.
It gives you that clear mind. Like you're going to go through so many things in life. Hurdles will come. Just life will send you a bill one day, and you're like, "Oh shoot!"
Right. Yeah.
Tore my ACL. I got to be injured for 2 years. Or shoot, we can't move forward with this, or we're out of money, or we can't grow and scale, or whatever that is. But it gives you an opportunity to catch your breath and just sit with it for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had dozens of moments where we've got to know from like a liquor board, and we can't sell to 300 stores or 200 stores for a year. We have to apply again next year, and then that can make or break your brand. But it's like, hey, maybe a no is an inquiry for more. Maybe we didn't give them enough information. Maybe it's going to bring her closer to our yes. Don't just give up. Like sit on it, rethink, come back.
The power of that question, or the power of the way you looked at that.
Yeah.
You chose that meaning of like, well, maybe that means they need more information, or maybe there's better things around the corner. Yeah. That's another angle in life that I feel is so important, is asking the right question and understanding what meaning you place on things. A lot of the times life will give you a challenge or a no, or a door closes, and you interpret that as being like, oh, that means we're not good enough, or, we're going to fail now or whatever. But you chose a different meaning, and how important that is to understand what meanings we place on things. And a no doesn't mean it's no forever.
Mm-hmm. You're enjoying the process, but you're looking at the end result too, which is a yes from a buyer, or getting it there, or like a roadmap to get you where you need to be.
So if there is a young entrepreneur, somebody wanting to start a business that's listening to this, what would be some advice to them that you would say, look at these things or ask yourself these questions? What would you tell them?
Just do it. Just go for it.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
What if they're nervous? What if they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to fail. I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'm going to
For sure. To me, I knew with my network and my Rolodex that I could sell enough cases to keep us in business and keep us breaking even and growing a brand. Yeah. So it was just like, I had 5,000 people on my phone, and I had another like 6,000 contacts. If I sold...
Does your phone hold that many contacts?
It's probably more. But it's like if I sold a case to them a quarter, that's 20,000 cases. Right. You know what I mean? 20,000 cases at, let's just say $20 in revenue. That's $400K that year. That's just doing
your contacts.
My contacts.
Right.
That's not, building the brand.
So you knew the numbers.
And I knew where we needed to be to become a brand. But going back to the question, it's just like, ask for help. Don't get discouraged. Nobody got there alone. We had a lot of people giving us advice. Don't take no for an answer. And sometimes you got to test the market. You can spend months or years trying to build it, but test if there's a demand for a product like that in the market.
When you say test the market, that's putting your stuff out there. That's just asking questions.
I don't know if it was Tim Ferriss, whoever did, but he just put out a Craigslist ad or an ad for something. Right. And then there was like 400 people that wanted it. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go make this thing because 400 people want it.
Right.
Well,
it's kind of like, what's that? Kickstarter,
Yeah.
People put out a project idea, and then other people want it. Yeah. And they like it, and they give you money for it. So
yeah, there's so many tools out there, and it's just like, go deeper. Like the one thing, it's like, obviously you want to be out in the market and up and running, but like go deep, find out, what your morals and values are. Think it through. Go take the time and do the due diligence to go to the granularity of your business.
Yeah.
Because then when it comes up in your business life and you're successful 2, 3, 5 years from now, you've dealt with it. You're not trying to do with it on the spot. My business partner, Julius, he's extremely creative, extremely bright. He spent years working on it before I joined him, and we teamed up in 2016, launched in 2017. Yeah.
Yeah. What this podcast is called The Time Has Come. The Time has come. Can you share with people what is emerging for you?
For sure.
And what do you feel the time has come for Jerin to step up into?
On a work front, business front, the time has come for us to expand and go to international territory. So we're just launching in Washington. We launched there a few weeks ago. So just
congratulations.
South of the border. Yeah, it's huge. Playing in the big leagues. So the time has come for us to level up and play play with the big boys. And on a personal note, the time has come for me to be comfortable in my own skin.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jen and I are getting married in 2021. We just moved to Salt Spring as our home base.
Salt Spring Island.
Yeah. Love that place. Magical.
For those of you who don't know, that's off the west coast of Vancouver there.
Yeah, and the Gulf Islands. Yeah. So, in the near future, in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, we'd love to start a family.
Wow, man.
Yeah, cool. I think being me and healing, times come for that. You live and breathe a startup world for the first few years, right? I don't know. I've been to multiple continents.
You travel a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to you, you're on the road going somewhere.
I think I've been to like 1,500 stores, tasted a couple hundred of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
cool.
I'm not going to take a step back or off the gas, but it's like I'm going to take care of my body because travel does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it sure does. Sure does.
You know that.
Oh, yeah. How about books? Do you read business books? Do you read fiction? Do you even have any time for reading right now?
Yeah.
What's your consumption? What do you
do? I do
into?
like business books, personal health books.
Yeah.
Podcasts. I'm into Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss.
Are you reading anything right now?
A meditation book.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on my Kindle.
Oh, okay.
Which is upstairs. I think it's Osho. O-S.
Oh, yeah. And Osho.
H-O. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have more time to read.
Yeah. You got to take that speed reading course. Did I tell you about that speed reading course?
You told me about it.
You got to check.
Exciting.
Jim Quick, man.
Jim Quick.
Yeah.
Writing this down.
Kwik. Jim Quick. I took his course and now I'm just digging because I can read faster now. And some books I want to read slower. I don't always have to read fast.
Yeah.
But I can just get through material faster. And it's not, I find I would always fall asleep. I get tired as soon as I start to read and I can't focus, But
now you have some unanswered questions that you want answers to.
That creates tension, keeps you awake.
Attentive.
Yeah. Sit up straight, breathe, all these different things. Anyways, Jim Quick, he's great. I want to ask you my favorite question of the podcast.
Oh, okay.
This is my favorite question. If you had a magic painting in your house and whenever you looked at that painting, and it could be an object, doesn't have to be a painting, it could be a statue of some sort. Whenever you looked at this, you could feel any type of feeling that you wanted to feel. What feeling would you choose? And you can feel this feeling to any degree that you want to feel. What feeling would you choose and what color or colors would you want on your painting to represent that for you?
The feeling would be peace.
Peace.
And joy.
Peace and joy, okay.
Yeah, and the colors would kind of be like green and yellow. But I have, so I've changed this from last time you asked me, I don't know how long, years ago.
It's a couple of years ago, yeah.
But I know exactly what I picture, and it's the Cranberry Valley in Salt Spring Island and Jen's parents' farm. The one that you recently came to for...
Yeah.
That place in the summertime is unreal. And there's this beautiful tree right there just in front of the farmhouse. And I go there and meditate. And it's just, I'll spend an hour meditating there. And it's just so peaceful. And sometimes you see the sun come up and it's just beautiful. You can hear all the birds. But there's sometimes that the hay is going different waves to the wind. And it's just it's got its own, just me there meditating and just being.
So the feeling is peace and
joy.
Now, if you were to explain that feeling, that peace and joy, that when you're in that field meditating, to someone who had never felt that type of feeling before, how would you explain that to them?
It would be a mix of two. One, the feeling of being at the right place at the right time, and the other one of just being happy, just by being happy for no reason, like that true
unexplainable happiness.
Like true blissful kind of joy. I remember the first time I experienced that. I was in Nicaragua at a yoga retreat, and I don't know what we were doing. It might have been doing a tree pose or meditating, but I was looking out this yoga studio over the water, and I was just happy.
If someone's never experienced that type of happiness, what does it feel like in your body? That peace.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's just like things are flowing. It's vibrant. It's not noisy. It's kind of calmed.
Is there a bliss to it? Like
there's a bliss. There's a joy to it. And there's just kind of it's like you're content with being you, but you're also content with the world and your surroundings, and you feel
like no resistance to what's happening.
Yeah, and you feel a part of those surroundings. It's not like
connected to it all.
Yeah, it's not like it's just you and your body.
Wow,
it's a tough question.
It is a tough question, but I love asking it because it's really interesting to talk to different people about these feelings that they want to feel,
It's like unresisted. You know what I mean? It's like this. It's just free flowing.
I get it, man. It's like, that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's time for you to answer your own question, Graham.
Okay, I'll answer it too. So for myself, I have to do a little bit of this is really hard for me to answer this question. But first of all, before I do, I want to say thank you for sharing that. And I think that's a beautiful feeling. I think it's really important. I was talking with your fiance, Jen, about this earlier, about how to find ways to bring that feeling into your life more. Like the magic painting is a metaphor in a sense of what is it that we're truly after? What is it that juices us? What's the best feeling you can think of, you know? For myself, this is a good story. I've told this story a few times.
Have you told it?
But I haven't told the public. No, this is the first.
Drum roll.
Yeah. So this is years ago, probably season 1 or 2 of Heartland, which is probably 2009, 2010-ish. I'd heard about float tanks from Joe Rogan. And I was like, oh, float tanks, okay. And this is a bit of a story just because this is the first time I felt this feeling was in a float tank. And I'm going to shorten the story because it's a long one. But effectively, I went into this float tank, which for those of you who don't know, it's this kind of like a giant bathtub. And there's 12 inches of water. Water's 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts are dissolved in the water. The water's heated to the same temperature as your skin, same with the air. This bathtub-like thing is actually enclosed, so it's like a giant box, so to speak. But there's room, so you can stretch out your arms and you can sit up, and so it's not claustrophobic. Anyways, so I got in this tank, and I remember Joe Rogan saying, just relax and let go. That was his thing, his advice. So I was in the tank. I was having a little panic attack. Like, what am I doing in here? My brain's, I'm racing. I'm having all these thoughts like, you should get out. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't see anything. There's no light. There's no sound. You can't feel anything because the water and the air are the same temperature as your skin. So you're just floating in the salty water. Your head is suspended actually. So the water's just over your ears, but it's not in your mouth or your eyes. So it's comfortable, but it's an awkward thing to do. So for those of you who don't know, you can look up this stuff online, but so I'm in this float tank and I'm having a little mini panic attack and I should get out. I got to get out of this place. And then a part of me said, you waited 2 years. I've been wanting to do this for 2 years and it took you a long time to find a place to do this. So you're not going to get out now and ruin it. It's a 90-minute session, which for some people is not an attractive thing to sit in a black, pitch black tank full of water for 90 minutes. But I wanted to do it because Joe talked about it being so cool. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I waited 2 years to do this, so I'll stay in the tank. Yeah. So I said, relax.
Sit your ass down.
Yeah. You're going to stay in, dude. And then my brain was, well, are you sure you're not going to drown? I'm like, I'm not going to drown. I'm fine. Are you safe? I'm like, I'm safe. I'm fine. Then what happens is my legs disappear. I just kind of like dissolve and I'm out. And now I'm floating outside of the tank in this room, where the float tank is. And I'm floating outside the tank and I'm talking with, I don't know how to describe it, but they felt like people. But when I think about it, it's more like energies or like spirits of some sort. I don't know. But we felt like we were all on the same team, and there was three of them. So there was 4 of us in total, and we're discussing what we can work on in the time that we have. And it was like a dream where you kind of come into a mid-dream. Dreams never like slowly, gradually start. You're just in the dream. So we're talking about this, and I said we should focus on one thing because we only have a short amount of time, and we should do that. The group agrees. I look down at the tank as if we're going to start doing whatever this thing is. And I thought, wait a second, who are we working on? Like, who's in that tank? And just as I was about to like grab the thought of like, it's me in the tank, I couldn't even touch it. And I was like, I woke up and I was back in the tank. But it wasn't like waking up from a dream. It was like being teleported. And it shocked me. It really disoriented me. And I started to like freak out a bit. It was so powerful and I never experienced anything like that before. I was like, I gotta go back. I gotta try back to this. Like, how do I get back to this? Okay, like that was freaky, but let's do it again, right?
How do I tap into it again?
So the second time I went back is when I felt this feeling that I'm going to share with you about my magic painting. It's hard to explain because what happened is hard to put into language, but I'm going to do my best. When I say it wasn't Graham. It was whatever I am beyond Graham. A being or a spiritual being of some sort. And so I left my body. I dissolved again. But this time I became what I call is like a cosmic love or a universal love, or it's a feeling of love, but it stretches on for eternity. It always has been and always will be. And this is what I knew instantly when I became this. It wasn't like someone told me this. It was just, this is what it is. And I knew it instantly. And it stretches on forever, and it always has been. And it's just sitting, it's here right now. It's everywhere. It is everything. And I was that, but it wasn't I like Graham I. I just became it. And it was massive. It is massive beyond comprehension. And I was in rocks and in flowers, and I could experience everything. And it was the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life. I was there for what felt like 15 minutes. And then I had this thought of like, well, where's Graham in all of this? And when I shifted my attention or my focus to that question, I was shown my body. And it was like this minuscule, like, zooming with this huge microscope going way down into this little tiny thing called Graham. It's like, that's where Graham is. And I was like, oh my God. And then it was like a big plug being pulled out of a bathtub, and all the water's getting sucked down this hole. And I got squished back into my body. And I went from this most beautiful, blissful feeling of like, of course, this is the way it is. Of course, this is how existence operates, to now I'm being squished. And it was excruciating. I was feeling so many powerful emotions going back into my body. I wake back up in the tank, and I'm crying, and I'm like breathing heavy. And I'm like, oh my God, like what just happened? And I think I had about another 15 minutes of my float. And I just sat in the tank, sat up in the water, just kind of like shaking, but just overwhelmed with emotion and that feeling. And then the guy who owned the tank, he came into the room and he knocked on the side of the tank. It was the sign to like, you're done. He did that about 10 minutes later. And I knocked back like, okay, I'm awake kind of thing. I'm alive. And then I got out of the tank and I went to the beach. It was in North Vancouver, or not the beach, but just the key there, with all the shops. And I sat on the grass and looked at the sun. So that's the feeling. And then, the painting I would have is colors. What would I choose? It would probably be something similar to that sunset that I saw that day. But I know the feeling very well. It's just this beautiful feeling of peace, similar to you in a way. But it's like, it's so beautiful because it's everything. Yeah. And it always has been, and it always will be. And it really alleviates a lot of stress and a lot of like anxiety around what's next and what's going to happen. And like, especially with what's going on in the world today, it really brings me home, and it really brings me to a place that it's like it's a starting point, coming from that place, everything's gravy. So thanks for asking me the question now. Thanks, dude.
Pleasure. I was just thinking back to a number of years ago when I did shrooms with a couple of close buddies. It was a similar experience, but one of my close friends, Sam, we're just sitting we're in West Van. We're looking at the reflection of the water, and it was dark, and looking at the stars.
How long ago was this?
Oh, this got to be like 5 years ago.
Okay.
We're saying picture being these big giant beings, or these giants walking on the water.
You saw this?
No, we just thought picture, like, kind of like we're visualizing.
Hallucinating. Yeah.
And then we're just like bantering back and forth and like doing games on the water, just verbally.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, picture like going through the moon, or just like exiting the world, in a way, like just going to different playground,
other places.
And then it was just kind of like.
So you would say that out loud.
Yeah.
And then you guys
like,
would all visualize it.
And then
wow.
And it's like you're part of the galaxy, and it was just like vast and big. And I was like, man, this is crazy.
How much did you do?
Probably not much, but enough to experience that.
Yeah.
I just had a thought, because you asked me a question earlier when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember soccer was a big thing. I wasn't that great at soccer in Albina because everyone played for it. They were super talented. And I was like, how can I get better at the sport? How can I get better at juggling? Like, so I'd practice in my room with just a soccer ball and juggle and see if I can do 10, 20 or 30 dribbling kind of thing. And at some point in that time frame, I got better, but I came up to the conclusion that if there's a human being out there that's doing something or performing, that means that we have the same potential capabilities, and I could be able to do the same task. So I just got to either work harder at it or work smarter at it. But it's like, it's not like an animal's doing it and I can't do it.
Right.
They're
not like, super special. If they can do it, I can too.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's humans that have the same, they eat, they drink water, they have red blood going through their veins. It's like, so there's got to be a way that I'm able to perform. I don't have to be the best at it, but at a good level on that. So anyway, that was pretty cool. It's just be like, if it can be done, then I have opportunities to achieve that.
I have that belief system or that program as well. If I'm watching somebody else, if they can do it, then it's like, okay, I can do it too. Like I might not be able to jump as high as them.
Totally.
But if they can play basketball really well, then I should be able to play basketball pretty okay.
With time.
with time.
And practice. Yeah.
Yeah. There's an idea that all ideas are shared, that they're out there in this like a radio station, and that, you and Julia's tuning into to making this nude vodka soda, this beverage that's clean and doesn't have all these additives and such and sugars, that was out there, and you guys tuned into it, and you kept in that frequency like a radio dial, and you channeled that into existence. Ideas aren't really owned by anybody, but the people that are willing to do the work, that are willing to bring that into existence, they will be the ones to make it happen. And there's been a few cases where I was watching a little mini documentary about this, where people discovered if not the same technologies at different points
of the world
at the same time. Yeah. And they didn't know each other. They didn't know. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. Like, and I think about that when it comes to skill, people tuning into, like the guy, Roger Bannister, who broke the 4-minute mile. No one had ever done it before. They didn't think it was possible. Then he does it, and everyone's like, oh, that's possible. We can all do it now. Yeah. Like high school kids now do it, So, it's a very powerful concept to think about the power of the human mind and the power of being able to tune into possibilities that, maybe other people don't think are possible. But then you just go and do it. Like Kerry James was on the podcast. He was telling me about this woman. You remember The Fifth Element, the movie with Bruce Willis? There's a scene in there with an opera singer. I'm speaking out of school here because I haven't done this research, but what he was telling me was that in the making of this film, what he learned was that they tuned the opera singer's voice in the film to do things with her voice that no real human's person can do. Uh-huh. Well, this woman from South Korea heard this when she was a kid in this movie and wanted to, like, that was her mission, to sing that song in the movie, even though it wasn't at the time physically possible. Yeah. Well, there's a video online of her singing that song. She trained herself to be able to do it. And the people who made that scene apparently said that, we're going to do this crazy thing with her voice. It's not really possible for anybody to sing like that because it's, can't do that. We did it with computers. Well, she did it. So it's kind of like, wow, man, like what's possible for human beings that we just think, it's not possible. You can't do that, But this woman didn't know it wasn't possible. So she just went and did it.
Totally.
I love that.
Insane. I love it too. Just to add some clarity, but Julius has been working on the Nude Beverages, Nude Vodka Soda for a long time. And 2 years prior of us kind of really going at it, he spent a ton of time, with formulating the product, the branding. Mm-hmm. And there was other products. In fact, there was one called Socialite. It's a 4-pack at 4%. That was the first conscious aware beverage that's very similar offering to ours. And they were out before us, probably like a year before us.
Oh, really?
But it just wasn't done right. It didn't resonate well.
Was that in BC as well?
That was out in Ontario.
In Ontario.
And I know I've heard multiple examples of other products in the US and Canada, some even in the 90s. They're too early at their time to do basically a similar offering that had no sugar, no carbs.
That's the thing, right? It's timing too.
Yeah, and it's like, especially in BC, but you can see that health is extremely important to people, right? Home of Lululemon, People want convenience. People want something they can grab and go that's got few ingredients, that's locally made, and it tastes good. There was no alternative. People are starving. Like you'd go to
Not
a game.
Literally starving.
Yeah, but they're craving an option that didn't have 40 grams of sugar.
Right.
Or if they got a cider or a cooler, they're just, I can only have 1 or 2 of these. I got to cut it with something else.
Right.
It's like you have a 6-pack of coolers. It was like 200 grams of sugar. Sugar's the leading cause of death in North America.
I didn't know there was that much sugar.
You know what I mean? It's still on the shelf. It's got an ingredient list of like 10-something ingredients, and majority of them you can't pronounce.
Right.
You don't know what they are.
Yeah, that's a real problem. I try to look at all the ingredients on things that I buy, and half the time I can't.
You've always, and out of everyone I know, you're the one that is most aware and committed to their health and and bettering themselves and
thank you, sir.
self-improvement. So I give you props. Well, keep it up.
Yeah, man. It's a journey, that's for sure. I'm always learning new things. And then the trick I found is that not getting hung up on it. When I was a kid, I loved white chocolate covered Oreos. That was my thing. That was my jam. I love those. So my mom bought me some of those for Christmas. It's kind of like a joke and a throwback. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, I can't eat these. Like, these are terrible for me. But then I was like, well, I'll have one. Like, I'll have one. You know, I'll enjoy it. I'll have one. So, I mean, I pay attention to my health, but at the same time, I'm not like, what's the word? Fanatic about it. You know, I'll have an Oreo or I'll have one, some of these things every once in a while. And I can taste it. I can taste like all the sugars and the oils in my mouth. And I'm like, oh, but the first bite's
especially
good.
if you haven't had it in a while.
And if you haven't had it in a while, that's what I found fascinating is you don't have these things in a long time. And then you have them and you get this sugar high. Like it's a sugar, like boom, you can feel it. And it's like, I get why kids get high off sugar. It's like cocaine, man.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I think it actually stimulates the same parts in your brain as...
It probably does.
I
think Coca-Cola probably had traces of cocaine back in the day.
They did do put cocaine in Coca-Cola back in the day. They knew it. I mean, that's the other thing too. I'm like, how does it feel? Like some people say, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. Eat meat, don't eat meat. And I'm kind of like, how do I feel? Mm-hmm. I was like, how do I feel? And I eat it. Pay attention to how I feel afterwards. Do I have energy? Do I feel slower? Do I feel full? Do I not feel full? And I like to try things out slowly. Because if I go full on one thing, maybe it's not the best for my body. Yeah. So I like to try things out, go slow. But the one thing that I have been doing for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, celery juice.
Yeah.
Are you on the celery juice train?
I'm not. I should be.
We got I bought a whole bunch. Check it out. There's lots of videos on YouTube, but it's really good. Helps clean you out.
I need to get on that.
Yeah. What other goals or things you want to get on for 2020, Jerin?
You know what? I just want to have a healthy diet.
Healthy diet.
And I've found over the years that I function well with like a high water diet. Like, I need 3 to 4 liters of water a day.
That's a lot of water, dude.
It's just, I don't know, maybe I just burn it.
You don't burn water.
I don't know. I just burn the energy, but I need, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Clean you out.
Sweat it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
and it's like, I do function well with a low carb and low sugar diet.
When you say low carb, does that mean like no bread? What does low
Limited
carb mean?
To, yeah.
Yeah. What about potatoes? Potatoes are so good.
Love yams. I can do some potatoes, but I don't need to have them every meal. You know what I mean? Like toast for breakfast and potatoes and then mashed potatoes or whatever it is. But leaner, kind of limited like 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lean, healthy protein, some fats, and a lot of vegetables with a ton of water.
Well, yeah. I don't think anyone's ever said don't drink water.
I got a question about your morning routine, but like I heard it from a friend. He drinks 1 liter of water when he wakes up, and it's like the best cup of coffee for him. It just cleans it all out. So I've done that with lemon recently for the last few weeks, and it's just
lemon water's great.
I'm just functioning at a quicker rate.
Yeah. Do you drink coffee?
Yes. Like not every morning, but yeah, if I'm on the road or at the office.
Get you going.
Yeah. But cold showers are my coffees. If I'm at home, excuse me, I won't make coffee, but if somebody makes coffee and I'll drink it. But it's like, cold showers. Boom. What is your morning routine, Graham?
I get up and I work really hard not to look at my phone first thing. Then I sit down in my meditation chair and I play. For the last 2 weeks, I've been doing a grateful abundance meditation. Mm-hmm. It's a guided meditation about tuning into appreciation and gratitude and for the abundance that you have and what's in your life, and opening yourself to more and to being to sort of connecting to that. Mm-hmm. It puts me in a very, very good place. So that's beautiful. So I'll do that meditation, get ready for the day, maybe take a shower, and then I'll do my celery juice, go to the gym, come back, eat breakfast, get to my activities, whether it be cameos, write emails, work on my scripts.
So you wake up, you meditate.
Wake up, meditate, shower, celery juice,
then
gym,
go to the gym,
eat breakfast.
Man,
I guess that's your
first 2 hours are more than most people do in a day.
I don't know about that, but I mean, you got to get to it. You got to hustle. Like you can't really. If I look at my phone and I start checking messages or emails, man, I don't know about you, but like sometimes I'll just like snap out of it. And I'll be like, where did that last 50 minutes go?
Totally. So I heard that David Goggins, the guy who did that Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah. He's a Navy SEAL, isn't he?
Yeah. He recommended that you take an inventory for a week straight.
Yes, the book I'm reading on Atomic Habits by James Clear says the same thing.
So I'm on like day 4 of mine.
Of your inventory of what you do every morning?
Every day. Like
okay.
Whatever it is.
You write it down.
I write it down.
Oh, okay.
And I had a couple busy days. We had our kind of U.S. executive team, and we all kind of, our Canadian executive team got together, worked our butts off, kind of planned 2020 and 2021 and execution of it. So those 2 days were like pretty on point, meetings to like travel to eating at meetings, phone calls, whatever it was. So it was pretty dialed. It was good. It was pretty efficient. And then the last 2 days, and it's like I crack my phone for 5-10 minutes. That turns into 45 minutes, and you're like, how did I just?
What just happened?
Blew 45 minutes on this, but yeah, it's been pretty eye opening to see. You think you don't have time, but then you actually look at a week long schedule and where you just write it down. If you procrastinate, you procrastinated, or if you watch 4 episodes of
you binge watch something on Netflix,
whatever.
I heard a great piece of advice from somebody on YouTube about procrastination when it comes to writing, but I think it's kind of can extend to other parts of life. For some people, they procrastinate because there's a fear of something. They don't know what's going to come. There's a fear of the unknown, of making this decision or of doing this work or whatever. And so the piece of advice was to acknowledge when you're procrastinating, and I go, okay, if it is that I'm feeling some fear around this, to close your eyes and visualize going into that fear. Play it out, the worst it could be, and go through it, and then see yourself coming out the other side. So if it's going bankrupt, if it's whatever, losing your love of your life, whatever the thing is, go through that fear, face it, look at it, go through it, feel it, and see yourself coming out the other side. And a lot of the times, what I found doing this is that a lot of the fears, when I bring them forth and I look at them, I'm like, oh, I'm not really afraid of that. That's kind of bogus,
That's a great point. So you're facing your fears all the time.
Trying to, man.
That's huge.
Get through it, right? Pay your debts. Get it over with. That's the way I look at fears and cleaning up your life. It's like a credit card debt. It's like pay it off as soon as you can, man, because you're incurring interest every time you shove it down or you repress it.
Yeah. There's times where I look back and it's like I haven't cleared something up from like high school or elementary school, and it's like I'm trying to do that 15, 20 years later. It's like it's a lot of debt.
And sometimes you don't have you have the energy or the tools to deal with things, and it's like, so you push it down. You can't deal with it now, and I get that. I'm not saying that I've done that and I still do that. I deal with things when I have the tools and the energy, but if I can deal with it and I don't deal with it, that's when I feel you really incur the interest, so to speak, metaphorically.
I like going into them though.
Into those
fears, and then just facing them, and then being centered and present, and then letting them go.
Yeah, man, that's the best feeling in the world. Letting those things go. It's like a weight, just like, and then you're free.
I was just thinking back of a question you asked earlier about if somebody's trying to start their own business or has an idea or any recommendations. But I was thinking, like, if you go towards something that you love doing or you're passionate about or something that excites you, I think your likelihood of succeeding ought to be higher because you love doing that. If you go into something you have nothing about, trying to start a business or make some money or whatever that is. But I think if you go into something you really enjoy, it's going to be easier for you to succeed. And I think if it comes from a place of like unselfish place where it's just like true to you, but also you find value in a need and they can do a service,
100%.
Then I think you're at a great spot. And then sometimes the hardest thing about doing something is just either showing up or taking that first action. It's like you're not going to be in my opinion. There might be some in the social media. Very rarely
is it overnight success.
They take time. You're not going to make $1 million in one day. Yeah. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I was always trying to think. It's like, oh, is this best return, or how much money can I make on this event? Because I used to do a ton of events or this. It's like when it stopped being fun and it stopped being a service of others. Like I used to love throwing events and parties and fundraisers and charity things because there's an aspect of having all my friends together, and I had something cool to do that night because there was not that many things happening.
Yeah.
Or a greater good that needed some awareness and some funds. But
it comes from that passionate, excited place. That reminds me of something. You might need to correct my details on this, but I remember you telling me at one point, I think it was in Toronto, we were walking. It was right after we did the Void VR thing, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
in Toronto. And I think you said to me something along the lines of when you were in Albania, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there was something about wanting to bring people together because of the war that you saw as a kid and the fighting that was going on. You just wanted to find ways to bring people together.
I love connecting people, yeah.
And did that come from what you saw in Albania or is a childhood memory of some sort?
I can't remember at the moment, but
I thought you
just
told
love,
me that.
I loved being around family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had a big family. My mom had 3 sisters. My dad had 2. They all had kids and cousins. So it's just like bringing people together is just got so much life and energy.
Yeah.
And there's a connectivity,
Yeah.
you know, between humans or individuals.
Harmony and healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could have been that maybe when war broke out, you kind of had to safety was first. You couldn't go out at dark because your risk of getting shot or something negative happened to you the likelihood was higher.
Yeah.
But I just love bringing people together.
And I drew the connection. I don't know if that was some connection in your mind, but I drew the connection of, alcohol often brings people together when they're drinking. They're all having a good time. Everybody's relaxed,
Totally.
and
it's tradition has been a great way to unwind. But now what's happening is that consumers starting to unwind differently. Beer was their only option for a long time, or beer and hard bar. Ryan Gingers, Ryan Cokes, rum and cokes.
Yeah.
Now there's so many more options. The craft beer boom happened. Then
Yeah.
you have high quality, locally made beer that's got different expressions or varieties.
Yeah.
It's not a lager or an ale.
Do you feel
So-
that that's why you kind of fell into this business?
Yeah, I fell into this business because I've been doing it for a long time. I've had like 12 years of experience before I met Julius, and his dream was to, have the best beverage out there.
Right.
Something that was clean and crisp, because he'd be training and he's gluten intolerant or has a high sensitivity to gluten. And he couldn't find anything to drink that fits his needs, right? And when we're going out, we're all drinking vodka soda. So it was kind of...
He's just like, I'm just going to make this.
It's going to make this drink. It has to happen.
Yeah.
There's a need for it.
There you are.
So, and that's kind of the need. I just saw a guy that was super passionate, super bright, loved what he was doing and had a dream, but hit a couple of roadblocks. And the roadblocks were, not knowing how to execute it and implement it, not having the funds or raising the cash for it.
Yeah.
And finalizing the marketing and branding. So, we did over 100 investors pitches, and majority of them, if not all of them, said no until we got one.
Mm-hmm.
And start rolling in and even changing people's perception. I remember, like, I was on the island at the time. I think it was like July.
Vancouver Island or
yeah,
Salt Spring
Vancouver
Island?
Island. Yeah, I was in Duncan Beverly Corners liquor store. It was like July or August 2017, and I'm tasting, right? Because people were used to high sugary coolers or ciders.
You got to explain to people what the tasting word means.
Yes, tasting is when you're in a liquor store and you're sampling your product and you're giving like a half an ounce or an ounce.
Free booze.
Yeah, so you get people liquid to lips. Get them to try the product. If they like it, ideally they'll go and buy it.
Right.
Or an opportunity to present what you have and tell them your story.
Right. So you're in Duncan and you're doing liquid to lips.
I'm doing liquid to lips. I'm giving tastings. And I was shocked of how many people, it's like, oh, this doesn't taste like anything. Because it's just they're used to high sugary, high fat diets, high sugary beverages. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you drink, like even LaCroix sometimes, great beverages, but now you got to take a couple sips to really get the formulation. But it's like compared to a sugary iced tea or a sugary cooler, a lemonade.
Yep.
This product has no sugar.
Well, it's like when you eat a piece of fruit after you've eaten a drink and a Coca-Cola, you can't even taste the sweetness of the fruit because you're so oversaturated with the false.
Totally. They're like, what is it, just soda water?
Yeah. Wow.
And then when they tried it a couple times, and then they're like, oh, I don't get bloated or get a sugar-induced hangover.
Right.
Or like, this is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This tastes phenomenal, right? Like, I don't need to consume 6 cans of 30 grams of sugar in each.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I was trying to point out that it took a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It took one of the hardest things was setting that stuff up, getting the financing, going live with the product. But then the biggest barrier after that was changing consumer perception.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Having a product out there that consumers wanted, but they didn't know they wanted it.
Yeah.
And then the next hurdle was kind of scaling it and producing it at mass level and distributing it and going across the country, which I'm stoked to be on.
I think that's why it's so important that you love something enough that you really are passionate about it, because like you said, there's going to be people that they don't get it. They don't know that they want it. They don't know that it's really valuable. And so if you're doubting yourself, if you don't really fully believe in it, maybe you'd be like, oh, okay, maybe we need to put sugar in it again.
Yeah.
And then you would have just been doing something like everybody else.
Totally.
And it probably wouldn't have gone anywhere.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, I often say like, it takes 7 points of contact to make a sale. And sometimes, I don't know if it's bell curve, but it's like 10% of the people, you'll knock on the door like, hey, it's Graham. You tell them a story. This is what I'm selling. Be like, oh, I like you. I'm going to buy from you.
Yeah.
80% of them, they're in the middle. They got to be swayed. They got to be convinced of why they need it, why they want it, or a better alternative. And 10% of them will just say no. So I'm doing tastings. I'm loving it. I love talking to people. Yeah. This is a better alternative.
Yeah. You're in your groove, man.
I'm watching out for you. I'm watching out for, your help.
Yeah.
I got a better product for you. I got the hottest thing out of the market for you.
Let's salesman Jerin Mece talking right now.
Anyway,
yeah, that's cool, man.
But like, you can't get discouraged, right? You're gonna get a lot of no's. I've had people swear at me on the phone, and people say things in person. It's just like, it's just, you don't take it personally. Don't make any judgments or assumptions. You never know what happened in that person's day. If they had a hard time, if they broke up with their partner, if they got laid off,
Yep.
And same thing in business. It's not like it's going to happen turnkey and you're going to get cash. You're going to get rolling. You're going to do this tech company. You're going to launch it. You're going to get 100,000 people sign up and download your app. It takes time, right?
It takes time. And I think it's necessary. And I'm grateful that it does take time, because in a way it builds the character. It allows you time to refine things.
Yeah.
And it really weeds out the people that don't really want it, don't really love it, aren't really connected to that highest vision of serving people a better beverage that doesn't have all that sugar in it. If they're just jumping on it because it's the trend,
totally,
and they're not super passionate about it, it's like, well, those people might not be the best ones.
Comes through.
So those roadblocks, those people saying no, kind of weeds those people out. And then the people that really connected, bring this product to market, those people are the ones that do it because they stick to it and they love it and they're connected to that vision.
Well, what if everything was readily available?
Yeah.
Right? If your favorite thing was eating fruit and being at the beach, if you did that every single day, it might not be as exciting. You know what I mean? Like if somebody started a business or did something to perfection right away, it's like that grunt work. You know what I mean? That process, that journey makes it more rewarding and satisfying. That struggle.
It's like going to the gym. It sucks going to the gym, but once you're done, you're like, I feel good about that. You don't regret it. You're not like, oh.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you do regret it?
No. I was just thinking here, and I was in my own head, but I was just thinking, sometimes the early days are like the most rewarding. You know what I mean? Sometimes you miss those days, the startup days.
Do you miss those days?
Yeah, like a little bit of the anxiety, right? The pressure, a little bit of the stress, or like, how are we going to figure this out?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sure you still have how are we going to figure this out?
Yeah, totally. And it happens every day, but it's just, there's a lot more at risk.
When you were starting, there was a lot more risk?
Yeah, well, if you make a mistake, you get limited funds, you're out.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? If you're starting with 200K and a production runs 100K and then getting it out and it's net 30, net 45, you have cash flow problems. Like if you're not lean and tight, you're
done.
Yeah, you're done.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you made it, Jerin.
And if that happens, don't get discouraged.
Yes.
There's room. You can ask somebody for money.
Yeah.
You can look through the financing. Like there's a lot of people that have run out of money and come back and make it happen. Do
you share any business, do you go to business schools or classes, community colleges, and talk about business? Have you
I haven't, no. I was thinking about that the other day. I'd love to do like an intro to marketing class or speak.
Or even at high schools, talking to kids about.
You know what? I did volunteer. Actually, I've gone to a few BCIT classes, marketing, and gave a couple talks. And then
BCIT is a information technology.
Yeah, Institute of Technology.
College in BC in Canada.
Yeah. And I went to our old high school, actually. So there was a startup New West program. There was kids that, extracurricularly once a week would come together and would come up, think of their business and bring it to launch, do a business plan, do, some cash flows, some projections. And then myself and two other entrepreneurs kind of put it together, ran through it, and then we ended up getting funding. So the person who won the business competition, we had a panel there. My business partner and CEO, Julius, was there. Carm from Daily Hive was there. and a number of other people. But
Cool.
the winners got $5,000 to start their business.
Nice.
So
Nice, man.
yeah, but I'd love to give back, and like that's one of my goals is trying to empower others to do what they want to do and be their best version of themselves. Right? We got a lot of help along the way. You can't do it on your own.
100%.
Yeah.
Jerin, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, dude. This has been a lot of fun.
Loved it.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
I look forward to the next time we do it as well.
Okay, brother.
Okay.
Cheers. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Jerin Mece, what a class act he is. I'm so grateful he came on the podcast, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. I wanted to let you know about the intro music that is provided to me generously by Eskimotion. The song is called In Dreams, and if you'd be so kind to check out his music on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever streaming music service you have, or wherever you get your music, check him out. Eskimotion, Eskimotion, and just, give it a few streams, give it a listen. Let me know what you think. It's some nice, tranquil, peaceful music that I like to meditate to. So if you want to check him out, you can go on those music platforms and check him out there. Also, I have a pair of boxers that I'm wearing right now that I wear every day. Not the same pair, different pairs. I got lots of pairs of them now because I like them so much. And they are Lambs boxers. They were formerly called Spartan boxers, but they changed the name to Lambs, and you can check them out at getlambs.com. They block over 99% of electromagnetic field radiation that's coming off your electronic devices. So this is great, especially for men that want to have a family in the future. That would be me. You want to protect your family jewels, so these boxers do just that. If you're on your laptop a lot, if you got your cell phone in your pocket for most of the day, there are studies that show that this can reduce your sperm count. So you can check out these studies, the science, and understand more on the website getlambs.com. They provide the science and the tech behind their boxers and their garments that they sell, and they're coming out with women's underwear as well in the near future. So ladies, you can protect yourselves as well from these harmful electromagnetic fields that are all around us, unfortunately. Unless you're out in the country and you've totally removed your electronics from your life, then great, good for you. They're comfortable boxers, and I wear them all the time because I am not always living free from electronics. However, I have put all my electronics down in one room now, which is great. It kind of frees up a lot of my mental distraction time that happens when I have my phone on me all the time. Getlambs.com. You can go there, use the promo code Time Has Come, and you'll get 15% off a purchase. Any purchase, really, if you think about it. I talked to them and they said, hey, if you want to go back and use that promo code again, if you want to buy some more stuff, it works again. So it's not just a one-time thing. So you also get 15% off if you visit the website and you enter your email and you do all that stuff. But if you use the promo code Time Has Come, you help out the show, and I would really appreciate that. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you success. I wish you peace. I wish you love. And I wish you courage, because we all need a bit more courage to do what we know needs to be done. All the best. Cheers.